Okay, so we're looking at this news story, the tunnels under New York that lead to the Hasidic Jewish synagogue. Kirk, what do you know about this story?
Very, very little.
That's all you need to know.
Well,
So,
I know that there's tunnels, and I know it has to do with Jewish people because you said the word synagogue.
that's it. That's
And people
that,
are making jokes about, like, I don't know, something. I think everybody's being really careful about the jokes they're making, actually.
right. And then, of course, people who are into conspiracy theories, but especially on the anti-Semitic side, are real excited about this story. So we're going to look at this story, and there's a lot of kind of wild theories about it, but I have my own theory. So
Yeah.
I want to talk about my theory, and my theory connects to three movies. So my theory, it links to Ghostbusters 2,
Uh-huh.
Terminator, and Ernest Saves Christmas.
The first Terminator?
First and second, the first two
Okay.
main ones, and
All right.
Ernest Saves Christmas. So I'm going to tie all this in together. But let's look at the story itself first. I pulled up the AP article, and the AP article, actually the first one here, mentions these conspiracy theories. This is a fun little picture of all these guys gathered around the tunnel of the investigators.
Such a tunnel.
So hot today. I don't need this tunnel. Why would you go into a tunnel on such a hot day? Yeah, these so there was a brawl between all these Hasidim and the cops, and there's some really fun videos out there. Kirk,
Yeah,
you lived in New York City,
I
so
did.
you know New York cops better than I
Yeah,
do.
yeah. There was fights between the Hasidim and the New York cops almost every day on the streets of New York. You almost couldn't make
Really?
your way. No, but it'd be cool if there was. That would be a lot more fun. It'd be like a weird. No, there was a. I do remember the biggest thing with Hasidim that I remember was that they didn't like bike messengers going through their neighborhoods, and so they all
Interesting.
drive minivans, and so
Okay.
they would pull these minivans up next to the bike messengers, and they would open the side thing, and the guys would like kick over the bike messengers, and they had video of it. It was pretty cool.
That's pretty hardcore.
But they have their own like they have like unofficial police forces and stuff in their neighborhood. So
Yeah, and that's what I've heard, and it's gonna come up later on as we talk about
okay,
this.
okay, all right.
So the basic story is that the cops find all these tunnels underneath the city, and they lead to this one synagogue, this Hasidic synagogue. And so the
Mm-hmm.
cops come in to try to shut it down, and then there's this big brawl, this fight between the cops and the Hasidim defending the tunnel. And so the big question is why? Like, what the hell is going on here? And that's what I want to look at. So people
What
who
is
are
going on here?
oh, I've got the definitive answer. No, I apologize for my voice. Got a little bit of a cold. No, I don't have the answer, but I have what I think is a probable answer, and it's much less exotic and sexy than a lot of the theories out there. So a lot
Are
of folk,
there a lot of exotic, sexy Jewish theories out there?
dude, so many, so many more than you would know.
An exotic theory. Sorry, just sounded very
Sexy
sexual.
in a general sense, like in a attractive. So, well, a
Uh,
lot of the people talking about this are saying the okay tunnels, synagogue, Jewish people, and they're going back to these old tropes from like the Turner Diaries and the old like anti-Semitic blood libel kind of tropes about
yeah.
okay, this proves that these Jewish people, they're trafficking people, they're trafficking children, they're taking
Uh-huh.
Christian children to drink their blood or whatever. So
Mm,
going back into these old like medieval kind of tropes.
delicious, delicious Christian children blood.
Now, see what's sexier than that?
That is actually probably on the list of sexy
That's like
somewhere.
Eli Roth can't make a movie without that being a part of the movie.
Right under silk sheets.
Silk sheets and Christian blood. That's like
Christian baby blood, yeah.
every Eli Roth torture porn movie has that.
Yeah, all the best monsters eat babies. If a monster doesn't eat babies, it doesn't really qualify for me. I'm doing a lot of
Yeah,
research on monsters, so that's a
right.
qualifier I have.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So so what I think is going on, I think it's much more mundane. And it ties into these movies and into my childhood.
Mm.
So let's look at the first movie, which
Your
is the
childhood of
first.
digging tunnels under synagogues.
Dude, I did that so much. Well, so the first movie is the Ghostbusters 2 is the most applicable because it involves illegal digging in New York City.
Yeah.
So Ghostbusters 2, you remember the digging scene?
Oh yeah. When the kid, why are you busting my chops here?
Yeah, so they pretend to be city workers. They're digging and they
Yeah.
go into the old subway tunnels. The reason they're doing it, though, they get busted by the cops. And isn't that why they end up in court? And then in court is where the ghosts pop out?
Well, no, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I think that is it. Yes. The Fratelli brothers.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because they bring some of the goo into the court and the
Right,
goo
because then they jump out
activates.
of, yeah. So they had to have gotten the goo to then
Yeah,
bring it to the court so that the Fratelli brothers could then be produced.
exactly. So they get busted by the cops here. But as you're watching the movie, you're like, well, of course they have to do this, though. It doesn't matter if it's legal or not legal. They've got to do it to save the world because they
Yeah.
know something that the rest of New York doesn't know.
Yeah.
They know
They
there's
know that Viggo Mortensen is trying to take over the world.
the worst actor to take over the world.
Now, what's the bad guy's name? It's Vigo, isn't it?
It's something like Viggo Mortensen. Let's just call him that.
It's Vigo the Carpathian.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, his speech is like the best heavy metal lyrics. If you I saw a video of it set to a heavy metal beat, it sounds awesome.
And
Like
then he's
there
got the
will be
curly haired like assistant guy who was on Ally McBeal, and I could never look at him quite the same way.
yeah, the guy with like the nondescript accent. He's just a
It's a good
foreign.
it if I hit it.
It's just a foreign accent
Yeah.
from somewhere foreign.
Yeah.
So
Vaguely Swedish.
yeah, it's kind of sweet. So in this movie, they're saving the world. There's this tunnel full of goo. It's bringing up this alien presence. It's going to destroy New York. So of course they have to break the law and they have to tunnel down because they know something we don't know. They're doing it for a higher cause.
Uh-huh.
So movie 2, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. This cover is the extreme DVD version.
Yeah.
This
It's pretty
DVD,
extreme.
you watch this version and you're going to want to storm the Capitol afterwards. It, no,
Storm
that's
the
the.
Capitol 22 years later.
Well, yeah, it's a
It's been
long,
building up.
it's a long plan, long con. So Terminator 2, of course, the plot here, she's trying to prevent Judgment Day. So this is where she starts off, she's in a mental institution, I think, or prison, or both, the main character. And she's
Yeah.
got to bust out of there. And I think she might even kill a couple people or stab them with a syringe. She breaks
Uh-huh.
all kinds of laws and she busts out of prison or the institution. And so for everyone else, she's criminal. But for her, she knows she's got to do this. And it doesn't matter how many laws you break because you're trying to prevent Judgment Day.
Right.
This awesome scene with the skeleton hanging onto the chain link fence.
Yeah. Skeletons have very strong tensile grip. People don't know that about skeletons.
That's the last.
It'd be funny if it flipped up, it was just flying backwards. It's like, I'm not letting go.
Fun fact, that's the last muscle to go in a nuclear blast is your hand muscles. All the
That's
rest
the
of
that's the ultimate hang in there poster.
like the one with the frog in the stork's
Yeah, or the
mouth and
kitten.
it's holding
The skeleton of a kitten hanging off a tree. Sorry. Anyway, yes. So okay, I'm getting your pattern.
yeah.
That they know something that the rest of us don't know. So breaking the law is a-okay. So you're
Well,
saying the Jews know something we don't know.
it's a-okay, and especially because it's saving the world. Like if you were
Making it a
Linda,
better place.
yeah, or I mean, in this case, you're preventing most humans from getting killed by the machines. So of course, you break as many laws as you have to if you can stop that from happening.
Right.
And third movie on the same theme, Ernest Saves Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
In this one, there's Santa Claus is passing on the torch to a new Santa Claus. Same theme. In this one, Ernest breaks all these laws, speeds, breaks, steals property, breaks into the airport, flies over U.S. airspace with the Santa sleigh.
Uh-huh.
He becomes a criminal, but he's got to do it to save Christmas, to save everything Christmas represents, make the new
Right.
Santa Claus happen.
Yeah, there might be a little more gray area in that one.
Yeah, maybe I should have ended on the Terminator one. That's a little.
Well, no, I mean, I think it's good to bring in some gray area because if the Jews know something that if there's like Terminators coming, they should tell us.
Yeah, that would be. But would we believe them if they did?
Now, if they're just trying to save Christmas, that's fine.
That would be wouldn't that be the ultimate irony? The Hasidim are trying to save Christmas.
We were doing this for you.
We care about this holiday as much as you guys do. That's our chance to eat Chinese food and hang out.
We didn't want to like take credit for it, but we were gonna save Christmas. But now we're not gonna.
So it's somewhere between saving Christmas and stopping the machine apocalypse.
Well, so what? I mean, so do you have a guess on why they have these? Like, what's the point of them?
So I don't know exactly why the tunnels, but my theory goes into why they defend them so strongly and why they feel justified in doing that.
Yeah.
And it goes into a broader mentality, which is one that I grew up with, because I grew up evangelical Christian on the more radical side of, because evangelicalism is a really broad umbrella of a lot of different groups.
You guys skateboarded a lot. You were radical.
Yeah. Oh, I had a pencil that said "God is awesome" in like heavy metal letters on it, I thought.
Hey, you know what, Dave? He is awesome.
I mean, yeah, but I thought my friends would come to Jesus because of that pencil in 6th grade.
They should have.
It didn't work, but joke's on them.
Yeah,
because they're gonna be those skeletons in hell hanging onto the chain link fence.
And you still have that pencil.
I'm going to be buried.
It's really short now.
I'm going to be buried with it. No, so when I grew up and I watched all these movies as a kid, and when I watched them, I could totally identify with the main character, and with that sense that you've got this knowledge that other people don't have, and you would be, if you knew the world was going to end or something horrible would happen. So in our case, it was anyone who didn't convert to our religion would go to hell, like a very literal, scary hell of torture and And so if you knew that, of course, you should do anything that you can to keep people from going there.
Right. So, like Heaven's Gate, if you know you're getting on that spaceship comet,
right,
trying to cut your penis off and kill everybody in the house, that's important.
Right. Well, I mean, it's a tiny sacrifice to make if it gets you on that spaceship. Yeah, just drinking the Kool-Aid and dying for a second.
Getting some sweet Nikes, getting in the bunk beds, checking out.
Yeah, it's nothing. And so the tie into the Hasidim, this is my understanding, and anyone watching can chime in and correct me on anything I'm wrong on here. My understanding of one point of Hasidic theology is getting Jewish people to pray and to pray more and become more devout is very important.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this idea that there's kind of a running meter of how many prayers are made and how many Jewish people make how many prayers. And the more you up that meter, the more you can fill up that bar.
Yeah.
Eventually,
it's like a telethon thermometer.
Yeah, the telethon thermometer.
Yeah.
Okay. And eventually it'll get to the top. And when it breaks that top, that's when the Messiah comes. And so anything you need to do.
Did it.
Yeah.
Gives them a big check.
The streamers come out of the ceiling and the balloons, like the blue and white balloons come out of the ceiling.
Okay, so prayers fill up the eternal meter, and then Messiah comes back. Not Jesus, but somebody.
Yeah. I mean, who knows what his name's going to be? But
I think it's Ethan.
Seth the Messiah. So whoever he is, though, if the more of those prayers you can get to happen in the right way, in the proper like liturgical Hasidic way, that's going to fill that thermometer up. And so that's why it's okay to break any number of laws, which there are tons of examples of, like even like things like public schools.
Right.
From what I've heard in heavy Hasidic neighborhoods, they've basically bought out the public school and made it a shul, made it like a religious school.
Yeah, a public shul.
Yeah, but it's not public education anymore. So so kids they're not getting this basic education that U.S. law requires. They are kind of allowed to violate that, and there's so many of them in this neighborhood that it's kind of the authorities don't really want to mess with it.
Yeah,
don't want to get involved.
Yeah, they're kind of like semi-sovereign neighborhoods, I
Yeah.
think. Maybe not, but that seems to be something I could say.
Yeah.
Why not say it?
So like specifically though, why a tunnel? Why not just walk to the synagogue? Maybe, I mean, maybe it has to do, maybe the synagogue was closed off to public access
Yeah.
or it had been condemned or something.
Well, the White House has secret tunnels in and out of it, and that's never been used for any nefarious or untoward
Well, I mean,
purposes.
if we can't trust the White House and the Pentagon, Kirk, come on.
Besides just the parade of sniz that JFK had going in and out of the tunnels, like
Happy birthday, Mr. President.
I
So,
I'm gonna go take a ride in the convertible. Anyway, sorry.
and he takes off his human costume and
Why do we put the roof down? It's such a beautiful day.
speaking of Brad Neely and his JFK video, I'm
I was
disappointed.
just talking about JFK. Just
Well,
in
I
general
mentioned
JFK.
no, I mentioned Brad Neely though. I was certain you were going to mention the Black Hatters from his wizard video.
Yeah.
So I wrote this note because when you said it, I was going to hold this up, but
You'll
you never
mention the
said.
Black Hatters. I don't think they don't say Black Hatters.
Yeah, it's in the video about wizards where Baby Cakes is
Yeah.
talking about
No,
wizards,
I remember that.
and he says he's talking about the
Matter, yeah,
different
like the
the
matter
matter mixers.
mixers. The
Yeah,
first one's the Black Hatters.
one of them is Black Hatters, and it's a
Oh.
picture of Hasidim on there.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
baby givers,
yeah. Honky mufflers,
fuck up boots.
soul crushers. It's a woman. Oh, life is good. Earlier, when you were saying you're looking for the answer, I was like, Deontwood?
Yeah, that's a good band.
Whatever, man. So, but so is the idea that like they're moving between many synagogues, or it's all going towards one synagogue?
I
Is it like a
don't know.
spoke? Is it like
So
a wheel with spokes going out to it?
I'm not sure about that. But if I had to guess, I would guess that it's like a utilitarian way to get into a synagogue that is very important to them, but the city authorities had condemned because the building was unsafe or something. But they have to get into that synagogue because that's where they need to pray because
Yeah,
those prayers are extra important.
that's
So
where that's where Severus Snape hid the sorcerer's stone.
yeah, there's all the Horcruxes are in that inside that synagogue. Yeah, but it's
Cool.
something important. So it's like of course we need to get in there because those prayers are important enough to get the Messiah to come.
Yeah.
And
Well, at least New York isn't a crumbling infrastructure that probably couldn't use destabilization. They're digging under like 200-year-old buildings that were made with mud.
made to last the 30 years that their owners were going to live.
The original ones they bought for junk jewelry from the Indians.
Right. Yeah, it's so that's my take on it. What do you think? That's my hot take.
Yeah, no, I think that so I don't, but okay, so you're saying that it is okay for them to break the law.
In their minds it is because in their minds this is important because this is bringing the Messiah. So
Right.
in their when you believe what you're doing is going to either stop the end of the world or help the world, save the world from all its pain and suffering, of course, like the ends justify the means when
So
you're
what I'm hearing
convinced.
you say is that you don't care about the people who died on October 7th.
Wait,
That's what you're saying to me right now.
I feel like there's a leap here. You skipped a couple steps. You went a different direction.
No, I think it is. I mean, yeah, I grew up in religions too. I know that. Okay, here's a good example of it. So, my great 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 aunt was Joseph Smith's like 14th wife,
Right.
and she was like 14 or 15 when he met her. Maybe she was 60. I don't know. She was
Did
some
he
age.
did he plan that to marry her on the birthday of the number of wives he had?
He should. Yeah. The first 12 or 13 were gross, but then
Yeah, he finally
by
got
the
a
time,
hot one.
yeah, he finally got to like 42 and he just stopped.
Yeah, after that.
Yeah, he's like, Diminishing returns. So he would talk to her and he said, the Lord has told me that you are to be my next wife. Now you have free will, so you absolutely do not have to say yes. However, if you don't say yes, you won't go to heaven. But it's totally up to you whether or not you do it. You will not, you'll be cast into outer darkness for all eternity if you say no, but that's on you. You got free will.
No strings attached.
No strings attached. Then she was like, well, I guess we're getting married. And in her journal, she was like, I felt like, what can I do? God said I had to do this, so I had to do it. And it was like, well, you didn't really. I mean, I guess you did.
Is her journal existing? Like, have you found it?
Yeah.
You read it?
Yeah, I'll give you a copy of it if you like.
Yeah, I'd love to read it.
Probably. And then you can talk to my mom all about it, because then you'll be the only two people who've read the whole thing. I've read parts of it. I wrote stuff down out of it once, but
is it like it's not published or anything? It's just a family heirloom or digitized?
Yeah, Lucy Walker Smith is her name.
Well, I'd be fascinated to read it, of course.
Yeah,
but of course, if heaven's on the line or hell's on the line, it's like I remember being a kid.
That sounds like a butt rock song. If heaven's on the line.
That would be a great like 90s Christian rock song, or 80s like by Striper, 80s Christian rock. Heaven's on the line.
We'll dig tunnels all the time.
My 14th wife is fine.
If she don't marry me, she's gonna burn in hell.
All right, we've sucked all the blood out of this stone that I think we could. So
that's what we did.
So that's my take on it. But I was saying I remember being a kid, and as a kid, like really thinking literally, like hell is real, and these flames and the pitchforks and all that, and I would like
poke you in the tuchus.
Yeah, that's what the Hasidim would call it.
Yeah, just a little poke in the tuchus.
Here's a fun. I read a book on the Yiddish language at the library not long ago, and there's a very fun joke in there. I won't tell it in Yiddish. Speaking of Hasidim, I've got my copy of Der Dibuk, a fun play that was written in Yiddish here.
That seriously looks like it's Marilyn Manson on the cover.
Yeah, that could be Marilyn Manson in an androgynous. But that comes from. There's a lot of that's cool in the Hasidic tradition. Actually, it's a lot of like mysticism, this idea of intimacy with God and the eminence of the divine presence everywhere, and there's a lot of like really cool, interesting spirituality there.
Are they the same? I mean, do the Hasidim do the Kabbalah?
Yeah, a lot of it comes from the Kabbalah.
Yeah,
so they're big on the Kabbalah.
I know all about the Kabbalah.
You've got Kabbalah coming out of your tuchus.
I actually have been reading a lot about the Kabbalah, like over the last like 2 or 3 months for tarot stuff. There's some tarot crossover.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So
we'll have to make another video about that.
Yeah, definitely. So the Yiddish language, I was reading a book on it. There's a joke. I won't tell it in Yiddish. I'll tell it in English. But the idea is that it's a secular Jewish family, and they're atheists. They're all atheists, but they want their kid to go to a good private school. They move to a new town. The only private school is Catholic, and so they send their kid to private school. But they're still Jewish, and they speak Yiddish at home and everything. And so the kid goes to school for a while. And then one day he comes and he says to his dad, he says all this in Yiddish, but he says, "Hey, Dad, at school, I heard this weird thing. They told me there's not only one God, there's three, but the three are one, and there's the Dad, Son, and Holy Ghost or something like that. But what's true, Dad?" And so the dad, he gets really upset, and he speaks Yiddish back to the kid. And he says, "Now you listen and listen good, son. I'm going to tell you one thing. There is only one God, and we don't believe in him."
That's good. That's not ha-ha funny, but it's, yeah.
I ha-ha'd when I read it, dude. I ha-ha'd in Yiddish when I read it.
Yeah. Maybe you got to hear it in the Yiddish to... So, okay. Yeah.
So the Hasidim, though, they're one of the few places on earth that they still speak Yiddish. Like,
so they don't believe in Jesus but they do believe in monotheism.
Well, the joke is that the guy, he's serious about his Jewish identity, so much
Uh-huh.
so that he's adamant about his monotheism, even though he's an atheist. Like,
Okay,
even though
gotcha.
he's a serious atheist, he still cares about there only being one God that he doesn't believe in, and not a Trinity God.
That's funny. That is classic,
so,
classic theistic comedy.
so the Hasidim are one of the few communities that still actively speak the Yiddish language.
Yeah.
And about 10 or 15 years ago, the New Yorker magazine had an article about this criminal proceedings, that it was a child molestation case, I think, in the Hasidic community. And they, in trying to investigate, they were
Do
having a
remember
hell of
that.
a time because they needed Yiddish interpreters, because a lot of these people who had been like whatever fifth generation born in New York didn't
Yeah.
speak fluent English. It was only
Yeah.
Yiddish. So they had to find interpreters who spoke Yiddish.
That's funny. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 big Hasidim stories that stand out. The other big one is there's the guy who was performing brisses and he gave a bunch of babies herpes because
Oh,
they suck out the,
the
I don't
blood, or
know.
yeah,
Yeah, whatever. The baby
yeah,
juice.
yeah. It was like a tradition, like a traditional way to help the wound heal or whatever, but you had to put your mouth on it.
Yeah.
There
And
was
drink the baby blood.
I I just rewatched
Not
Mrs.
Christian
Doubt.
babies, but
Yeah, it's okay.
it's fine.
I rewatched Mrs. Doubtfire recently. It
Yeah.
stands the test of time. It's a great one.
Hello.
But there's a joke that I never got before, but I watched it with Yanita with the subtitles on.
Oh yeah.
And so when he's trying on different faces to become a woman, and
Yeah.
one of the faces, he says he looks like a Jewish lady from the shtetl back in the old
Uh-huh.
country. So he does this old like Jewish accent.
Uh-huh.
Oh God, what is he?
I remember that.
He makes he makes a joke. He does the voice and he says something like, "That's the last time I buy gribnis from a moil." Gribnis is gribi from like Russian mushrooms. He's like, that's the last time I buy gribnis from a moil. They were so chewy.
I never got that.
I
Wow,
never
that's a
understood
deep
that.
cut.
Yeah, I had to learn
Uh,
Russian and learn what a moil was to understand that joke.
yeah. Oh wow, you should turn that into a YouTube short. Explain
That's
that to everybody and then put a little clip of that in there.
I'm gonna mansplain it to everybody. That's what you call it when a man explains something. Take that. Gribnis to a moil.
That
So
is
we're
funny.
almost out of time. Any last words?
Yeah, come follow me on Ideas of the Shipwrecked. I'm still discovering myself through my channel and who I am as a person and a place and a thing. Just
I'll
a,
put
a noun, really.
yeah, we'll have a link to Kirk's channel check the show notes, click on that link to Kirk's channel, ideas
Oh,
of the
also follow my other new channel called Heroes. What is it? Heroes, Gods, and Monsters, which Dave doesn't approve of.
heroes,
Very
gods, and
angry content.
I don't know. I don't approve of heroes. I think that
Yeah,
they set unrealistic
I've done a
expectations.
video about Rama. I've done a video about Quetzalcoatl, and I've done a video about Nian, the Chinese dragon.
And you can find Kirk on OnlyFans under the
Yeah.
handle of Gribness from a Moil.
Hey, come see my mushroom tip.
Yes, please. All right,
All
yeah, check
right.
out Kirk's channel, and please send us your comments. Of course, tell us what you think about this very strange story: Hasidic tunnels going to a synagogue under New York City. What is
And
going on?
go dig your own tunnel today. Don't wait one more day.
Yeah, dig your own tunnel. Go
Just dig
to
it.
a place you really want to go. Like, dig
How
it.
long does the Smack'em's frog have to tell you before you finally dig them? Just dig those tunnels. Smacks sugar. I can't remember what it is. Sugar smacks frog.
Oh, because
Dig,
his thing was dig 'em.
dig them.
Yeah,
Dig the tunnels.
anyone born after
I
1982
feel
is
like we're running out this timer. We got a minute and a half. Can we vamp
yeah,
for 90 more seconds?
yeah. Let's make some more deep cut jokes that 5 people will get and kind of chuckle at.
Oh, you put me on the spot for
Here's another Yiddish joke. We're gonna end on a real real
Oh, I like it. It's a Dom DeLuise impression.
We're gonna end on some tuberculosis here. So, there's a Yiddish joke. You have to understand that the ending "ol" in Yiddish makes something small. If you
Well,
say
then this is going to be hilarious if I
so,
have to know that.
so a guy goes into a shop and and he wants to buy a pickle, and he says, "How much for
Uh-huh.
this
Which is a
pickle?"
small pick.
So he picks up a pickle. How much for this? And she says, "A nickel." And he says, "No, that's too expensive." And he picks up a tiny one instead. And he says, "Well, how much for this little piccola?" And she says, "That'll cost you a niccola." Like, it's still a nickel, but
No,
it's
I get it.
the
I get it.
diminutive form of.
I get it.
All right.
The
And then
diminutive form of your pickle.
you got to save your best material for the last minute of the Zoom call.
Less than it's just like it's just holding on. It doesn't
Yeah.
care.
It's still waiting for the Messiah.